G'day everybody, where's Wally here? We're going to have a look at Gleem. Gleem, he's the flat earther who says he's not a flat earther. Well, Gleem, old buddy, you couldn't be more in denial if you were swimming in that river down there. Oh gee, I crack myself up sometimes.
That's all I've got to say. What a scam.
Well, it seems like he was having a problem with everything Wolfie and I were doing the other day. But first I've got to get into the ISS. Now, Gleem seems to think that the ISS works perfectly on a flat map. Well, mate, I've tested it on both, because there's no point testing it on just one. You have to test it on both, the flat Earth and the globe model. Well, Walter Bislin, he is a bit of a mathematical guru, and I was wondering how I could plot the ISS positional data for a full 24 hours, and I see that he's already done it. Now, this is theoretical positions. These red dots are all at the same time apart. On this, a flat Earth-like map, the distances the ISS needs to cover between the red dots is changing. That's strike one, Gleem.
That's all I've got to say. What a scam.
Well, Gleem, you're going to have to come up with some mechanism that will allow the ISS to travel about 3 times faster at the southernmost extent when compared to the northernmost extent. Also required for Gleem to be able to say that the ISS orbit works on Flatardia is a mechanism that turns the ISS to the left. Well, that's strike 3.
That's all I've got to say. What a scam.
These Santa-like happenings, speeding up, slowing down, turning left, are what we call accelerations. And because the ISS has mass, and F equals ma is a thing, this means that there is a force here somewhere. So that force means that energy has to be coming into the system, a power source. However, we know the ISS doesn't have any sort of propulsion. It doesn't need to, it's in orbit. So that means strike 4. Doesn't work on a flat Earth.
That's all I've got to say. What a scam.
Now, of course, if we actually go and examine this, and we look at a plotted path of when the ISS goes directly overhead, we always observe that it's a straight line. But on Flatardia, it would not be a straight line, because it takes like 4-6 minutes to go from horizon to horizon when it's going directly overhead. 360 degrees one orbit divided by 90 minutes, it's about 4 degrees per minute. So here you go, let's put another line on here. It's got to look more like this. So it's going to be about 10 degrees off on either side, which means it's curved, which means it doesn't work on a flat Earth. Strike 4, 5, I'm getting lost. I don't remember how many strikes you're up to, Gleem. More than one, shall we say.
That's all I've got to say. What a scam.
If we test the ISS positions on the flat map, not only do we not see the speed ups and the slow downs and the left turns, but the basic shape of the track is wrong. Now you have this peach shaped track. We don't see that, mate. It's a circle. Now let's have a look at Gleem's little effort here. Mate, you failed on this one as well. You didn't even join up the successive orbits. Mate, I thought you were supposed to be a pro at this Photoshop thing. This is just not even right. So I also plotted the whole day's worth of ISS positions from my ISS tracker. Now they match up perfectly with reality. Well, Gleem, this is what the ISS tracks actually look like when plotted on, guess what, a flat Earth. Well, look, I didn't do it. I'll own up to it. This is my mate Ruhif did this. He's a bit of a gun programmer. Thanks, mate. You did awesome. In only a short time, too. Thanks so much for that, mate. And Gleem, do you see the difference between what it looks like when done properly and the little schmozzle that you presented? Well, mate, I don't even think you realise, but consecutive orbits do actually need to join up. Look, maybe you were in a rush. We'll let you off with this one. Only half a fail.
That's all I've got to say. What a scam.
And a big thanks to Walter Bislin for doing this for me. And the link is in the description, as always. Gleem, consider this as Wally testing the ISS on the FE model. Another thing that you failed at, saying that we never test things. Well, we are always pointing at the differences between flat Earth and the globe Earth. Otherwise, there's no point. I mean, there's no point me going to, say, the North Pole and filming a 24-hour sun, is there? Because no one disagrees with that. And no one would do that. Well, except the flat earther called D Marbles.
That's all I've got to say. What a scam.
Oh, well, that's enough of the ISS fails for Gleem. But of course, Gleem, it gets much better for you, doesn't it? He took a look at the Wally Wolfie Eclipsing Satellite videos. And he thought he was so smart. he was going to debunk it. Let's see what he did. Well, first of all, he said, "You guys are so busted," about 20 times. But wait, when he was looking at the supposed satellite, he found a dot that wasn't changing or that wasn't blinking out. Well, because I was such a helpful guy, I said, "What you're going to have to do, Gleem, is to prove this, is video this yourself and show the shadow passing the satellites and the satellites not blinking out. Then we'll consider that you debunked us." But of course, he thought he had done that because he saw a dot that stayed on the whole time. Well, I kept going, "I can't see it, I can't see it," but then I realised I had my screen brightness way down. So of course, I had to turn up the brightness. Gee, that sounds catchy for some reason, I don't know why.
Oh, people, adjust your brightness.
Well, he was all full of pomp and he said, "This is why they pay me the big bucks." Unfortunately for Gleem, he was wrong. What he had found, in fact, was a stuck pixel, or a hot pixel. They're not quite exactly the same thing, but anyway, for this exercise, it doesn't really matter. And this is, of course, a well understood issue with digital cameras used in astrophotography.
So here is the ZWO camera, and I'm just doing a hot pixel test with the lens cap cover on. So you can see there's absolutely no light getting to the sensor on that camera.
So Gleem, with respect to those hot pixels, Wolfie brings up a good point. When he takes pictures with the lens cap on inside, he still sees those, what did you call them? Satellites? So I guess they really are just hot pixels after all.
Oh, people, adjust your brightness.
Oh, and another one of Gleem's most fantastic fails that I really got a chuckle out of was where he thinks he knows me, because he has no idea. Another fail. No, look, I knew that Wolfie was well and truly asleep. Well, at least I thought he was. I shouted at him, "Wake up, Jeff." And he did. And we had a great chuckle at Gleem's expense because I spotted that it was a hot pixel. And Wolfie says, "Yes, of course it's a hot pixel." Gleem thinks I had to go and get help from Wolfie, but I didn't. I actually figured this one out all by myself. Pat myself on the back for that one. Anyway, Gleem, you got to be real careful about what assumptions you make, mate. And you very much have forgotten that Wolfie and I really just like to play with you guys. You really are like a kitten chasing a laser pointer after all.
Oh, people, adjust your brightness.
Well, Gleem understands none of this. Oh, and there's another notch in the belt of flatties don't understand optics. Oh, of course he's going to say he does because he did it for the CIA or NSA or the FBI. He was a Photoshop guru or something. I don't know. He's got a whole big yarn about it. I'm sure he got the chicks with it. Anyway, Ranty, he's not going to be well pleased with Gleem because you're supposed to be saving the flatties from the evil globetards, are you not? But now you've just left their soft underbellies exposed yet again. Gleem has been so very busy grasping at straws on this eclipsing satellite issue. First of all, he tried blaming light attenuation or clouds. Well, of course, neither of those are going to work. See, Gleem, what I think you forget to allow for, this is weather in Australia, and this is positively an overcast day here, mate. The only light attenuation we were getting was from this jolly big rock sitting in between the sun and the satellites. Well, the day that Wolfie did it up in Broome, it was a perfect moon-free and cloud-free night, and it was far from any city, so there was no light pollution. Gleem got that wrong too. He thought we were pointing north, therefore we were going to see all the northern hemisphere pollution.
Oh, people, adjust your brightness.
And what Gleem didn't understand, because Wolfie was in Broome, he's like 18 degrees south of the equator. So to see satellites that are in the ecliptic, right above the equator, you only needed to point your telescope 18 degrees from north, so it's almost straight up. Wolfie even made such a comment to me, he's not used to seeing his telescope pointing up so hard.
Oh, people, adjust your brightness.
So Gleem, he got even more desperate. He even went and looked up Starlink next and was citing that as a thing that we were looking at. Well, until we pointed out to him that he forgot to allow for the time difference and that Wolfie was actually on the 13th and not the 12th. So much for being a pro researcher, Gleem.
Oh, people, adjust your brightness.
Anyway, he claimed that he was tired and needed a little nap, so we let him go and have his little beauty sleep. But he came straight back again with more fun and games. We didn't even get to mention the fact that the Starlinks are usually only visible, much like the ISS, at dusk and dawn. But of course, Wolfie was working around midnight. Remember? We were on the opposite side to the planet, to the sun, to capture these eclipsing satellites.
Oh, people, adjust your brightness.
Well, that's probably enough of Gleem. I think I've gleaned all I can from Gleem. Although he did drop this little hint, so this might have to be part 2. I I wonder if you can spot what you've got wrong on this one, Gleem. I certainly know all the pilots who watch this channel are instantly going, yeah, that's not going to work. And look, Gleem, I've got no hard feelings towards you, mate. And because you can actually sing, although you did say I have no idea what I'm talking about, so I could be wrong about being right about you too. It'll be interesting to see if Gleem leaves this up or if he tells me to pull it down.
This goes out to all the big pharma pirates and all the political pirates. It's Gleem alongside the Nesta pine.
Yes, I.
Big pharma pirates murdering us with kindness. People adjust your brightness. Who make it get widespread? Political pirates can't even follow their own guidance. People adjust your brightness. Who you gonna call when the line's silent? Hello? Financial giants buy up an alliance with lords that write laws of compliance. Tyrants for hire, privately acquire a proportion of the poor that supported them. Library of liars, lifetime suppliers. Get caught and retire all at your expense. Sick and tired of their tripwires. Oh, the cycle of crisis tortures them. Big pharma pirates murdering us with kindness. Oh, people adjust your brightness. Who make it get widespread? Political pirates can't even follow their own guidance. People adjust your brightness. Who you gonna call when the line's gone dead? Hello?
Hey, we got to conquer them all. We got to trample them down. A wicked man must fall. Run them out of the town. We're not gonna take the chat. Tell them to deal with that. And we're not gonna take no check in their political mess.
Big pharma pirates murdering us with kindness. People adjust your brightness. Who make it get widespread? Political pirates can't even follow their own guidance. People adjust your brightness. Who you gonna call when the line's silent?
It's not me,
Who do we thank for queues at the food bank?
I don't know.
Who do we thank for rescuing huge banks?
I really don't
Who
know.
do we thank for the brand new jabs?
I said I really don't know.
Who do we thank for the breakout in Wuhan? I hope it's all gone to plan. Big pharma pirates murdering us with kindness. People adjust your brightness. Who make it get widespread? Political pirates can't even follow their own guidance. People adjust your brightness. Who you gonna call when the line's gone dead?
It's not me, it's not me.
Anyone?